right, so let's go back maybe like 6 months ago, back in March when this all happened and kind of came and Susanna's kind of took, how this all kind of came about and the stages. Because first it started off as necessary financial aid for businesses, but also expanded to other things. So
yeah, so I'll let Susanna just chime in because she's been instrumental with Bham Strong since day one. I came on board back in June or so, and so I will say this: Birmingham's response to the pandemic has been exceptional. It has been well thought out. It has been one that no one really could have anticipated the breadth and depth of this pandemic and the impact it has had on the city of Birmingham. And so I'm very thankful that due to the leadership of the city government and private sector partners and folks like Susanna willing to lean in and stand up this organization, we have something that a lot of folks, a lot of cities around the country don't have. We have a true partnership, a true service corps organization where people are making a difference and helping to close the gap between people out there who are being dramatically impacted by this pandemic. I don't have to tell you, Jarvis, or your audience, that the city of Birmingham is uniquely situated, not necessarily in a good way, but it's uniquely situated to be very negatively impacted by a pandemic. The city is over 70% African American. We have high poverty. We have folks that are unemployed or underemployed or underskilled. And so this pandemic really attacks people with pre-existing conditions and lack of access to adequate health care and fresh food and public transportation. It impacts them dramatically different than it may in a lot of other communities. Not to mention Birmingham's economy is one that's built in large part based on public service, if you will. The service industry, administrative positions and roles, those are some of the hardest hit industries and employment sectors that have been impacted by this pandemic. And so that's a mouthful, and that's just a way to kind of set the stage for what happens when a pandemic hits a city like Birmingham. It impacts, if you've seen, disproportionately. And so a lot of our folks are being hospitalized, are having to, being laid off. And so just the fact that the mayor's office had the vision and the foresight to be able to create a program like this one and basically pass the baton on to very smart people that have the skill and the bandwidth and experience to stand up in an organization like this. And we basically focus on three things. Our primary mission is to basically create and promote economic resiliency and also public health. And so Susanna has a great amount of experience in those two lanes. And so my role as the director of community engagement is to tell the story and to make sure people know about the Birmingham Service Corps and know about how we help people, how we help small businesses, how we help nonprofits, how we help people who are unemployed or being impacted by this pandemic. And so I don't want to steal Susanna's thunder. Again, she's been here from day one, and she's done a yeoman's job, majority of the heavy lifting prior to today, and she's continued to guide this organization through tomorrow. So Susanna, I just want to allow you to be able to share with Jarvis and his audience about how we got here. And
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you flatter me. I mean, we're I think I'm so glad to have the team that I do, and obviously Ken, your talent and leadership and frankly the connections you have in the community are such a big part of that. And making sure that our work is rooted with the communities that we exist to serve is kind of the first thing that's on our minds when we get up in the morning. So that's such a critical piece of it. Way back in March, which feels like a way back, I don't know that it is. I think that the city was really confronting, as Ken points out, the fact that there was kind of a unique danger in what was going to happen in cities like Birmingham because of COVID. And recognizing that there's sort of two primary issues. One, new needs are emerging every day. We don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be food, or are people going to start to have hardships around rent? We're learning more about the virus and the science behind it and trying to figure out, okay, do you need to shut things down? Should we all be wearing masks? Do we have enough masks in the city? And at the same time, you have a lot of people who are experiencing unemployment or underemployment. Maybe they've had their hours cut, maybe they've been furloughed, maybe they've been let go related to COVID-19. So I think the city's goal was to take those two problems and say, what can we think about as a forum to address them? And so we were kind of incubated in partnership with the city, with SHIFT, and then with the Altec Seislinger Foundation, who are kind of our major donors, to start us up as a separate entity, we work closely with the three organizations I mentioned, but we're not kind of an arm of city government. To start thinking about the types of programs that would address the problems that I've talked about. So we've done a lot of things over our time, generally in partnership with great organizations that already exist in Birmingham. The biggest thing that we've focused on that has kind of evolved into our focus is the Birmingham Service Corps, where we seek folks who, like I said, are experiencing unemployment or underemployment related to COVID, and who have kind of a heart to serve and a desire to help, and place people into paid service opportunities, doing work related to the crisis, whether that's helping to sew PPE, create masks, whether it's helping to run a testing site, or being embedded with one of the nonprofits. We have so many excellent nonprofits in Birmingham that are doing kind of direct work related to COVID and maybe just need a little bit of a boost. They need a staff member or two to help support their operations. So we've, I think both Ken and I are excited to talk about kind of all of the things that we've done over time and how we've kind of honed that as the right fit. But again, I think it stemmed from the city recognizing a need and an opportunity, and really from the partnership, I think, of organizations and people across Birmingham wanting to know, how can I plug in? How can I help? Where is there a central point where we can come together for part of addressing this crisis?
Yeah, and I saw like in the stats that you all gave me before the interview, 50,000 people lost their jobs due to COVID-19 just in Birmingham, which is possibly maybe more than that, which is very surprising. So back to the Service Corps, how many people have you helped so far as like employed or that's got involved with that program?
So we've made about 325 placements, a little over that, I think. Of Birmingham residents in positions across the city. So those count the folks that have just been officially placed due into an opportunity with the Service Corps, and I'll ask Ken to talk a little bit more about kind of what those different placements look like. But then we know those are folks that frankly need the work, and that this is an opportunity for them to give back to their community. So about 90% of the members that we've placed we know are in part relying on the income from the Service Corps for their basic needs, rent, food, utilities, that sort of thing. And on average, Service Corps members have experienced about a 50% decrease in their income from before COVID to now. So these are folks that, as so many of us are feeling the pinch of the kind of economic consequences of the pandemic. And have stepped forward to say, I want to be part of something. And frankly, I'm going to try something a little new, recognizing we're new on the scene. The majority of folks that we've placed are people of color, the majority are Black. And we've had folks, really in positions across the city. And I'm excited to talk maybe more a little bit later about some of the other ways we've seen our impact in some of those partnerships. But that's that top line, 325 job placements. For folks that have gone through the Service Corps.
Yeah, and that's a really big deal. I mean, if a company were moving to Birmingham tomorrow and they were bringing 300 jobs, it'd probably be on the nightly news that 300 new jobs being added to Birmingham. But that is just a drop in the bucket to what the actual need is. But at the same time, it's a big deal. And to that end, that's just the beginning of our story. I mean, there is so much more, and we're glad to kind of get into the meat and some of the accomplishments we've had here. But to answer your question, Jarvis, 325 folks we've provided an opportunity for, and in Birmingham, like a lot of other cities, $400 or $500 a week is the difference between major economic turmoil for a lot of families. And so the fact that we've been able to help people who didn't have anything or needed help bridging the gap to help take care of some of the basic needs, 90% of the folks that we have that have worked for us, they have been able to attest that they've been better able to meet those basic needs they have for their families. And so for us, we take great pride in knowing that we are making a difference. We're serving people that look like you and I. We're helping folks that need it the most. And we're doing it in a way that's also creating a social impact for folks. A lot of these folks are working at nonprofits that are feeling the pinch, that are having new demands put upon them because of the pandemic. A lot of the folks they would normally serve, they can't reach. A lot of the folks they would normally serve, they're having a hard time contacting. And so they got new things, new requirements they have to now abide by when people come through. And so we've been able to help them increase their bandwidth and also help the Service Corps members feel good about the work they're doing. They're leaning in the community they support, they live in. We're impacting. We have folks from at least 70 plus neighborhoods, just about every single community within the city of Birmingham. And so that's something to be proud of. But again, that's not even the whole of the story. And so for us, it wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be successful without, platforms like this one to be able to tell the story and be able to encourage people to sign up, to go to bhamstrong.com and sign up to join the Service Corps, to find out more about our organization. We're on all social media platforms. By all means, follow us, like us, share our contents, and tell the story. Because again, at a minimum, 325 jobs is a big deal when you're helping people meet basic needs. And so, but again, the story doesn't stop there. We're involved with the COVID-19 test. We talk about promoting public health. We've been very involved with the Legion Field testing site. A lot of people know about that site, but it's not just the Legion Field testing site. We partner with other organizations like Alabama Regional Medical Services. They are very involved throughout the city of Birmingham, providing COVID-19 testing. Jefferson County Health Department, they're one of our public sector partners. And so we're partnering with them. And so we're not just about necessarily helping people find opportunity and employment and make a social impact on the communities they live in, but we're also about making sure that we are promoting public health. And economic sustainability is something we'd love to kind of get into a bit and what that looks like. It's a fancy word, but it really means thinking about the whole person, thinking about where they are in terms of the skills they have, making sure that when they are exposed to through different opportunities, they have a chance to learn something new and have an opportunity to be able to improve their resume skills or their resumes or their interview skills. And so we love to get into that as well. But I just want you to know the work that we're doing at Bham Strong is something that we want to stand on the rooftop, i.e. What's Happening Birmingham rooftop, and tell the world, join Bham Strong. Go to our website, go to our Facebook page. And don't take our word for it, but we're making a difference every single day, and we're glad to have an opportunity to talk more about it.
Okay.
Do you know what's happening in Birmingham? Find out now with the all-new What's Happening Birmingham app. Download today on Android, iPhone, and iPad for free. Get info on everything you need to know about local news, events, businesses, restaurants, and more. Visit our website, what'shappeningbirmingham.com, follow us on Twitter at HappeningBham, or call us at 205-538-4508. Download the What's Happening Birmingham app today. What's Happening Birmingham, your source for everything Birmingham.